Some important information regarding venous drainage. Superior and inferior ophthalmic vein enters cavernous sinus through superior orbital fissure outside of ring of Zinn. Inferior petrosal sinus. It is the first tributary of internal jugular vein. It is also the content of jugular foramen. Contents of jugular foramen. Internal jugular vein, inferior petrosal sinus, cranial nerve 9, cranial nerve 10, cranial nerve 11. Tributaries of confluence of sinuses. Mnemonic SOS, straight sinus, occipital sinus, superior sagittal sinus. Straight sinus from anterior side, occipital sinus from inferior side, superior sagittal sinus from superior side. Dangerous area of face. It includes upper lip, nose, and medial canthus of the eye. Any infection in this area can create a septic emboli in facial vein, angular vein, superior ophthalmic vein. Therefore, septic emboli can reach the cavernous sinus. Can cause cavernous sinus thrombosis. Falx cerebri. It is the double fold of dura mater. It separates the right and left cerebrum. Falx cerebri attaches to anterior cranial fossa at the crista galli part of ethmoid bone, that is roof of nasal cavity. Falx cerebri contains three sinuses. Superior sagittal sinus runs in superior margin. Inferior sagittal sinus runs in inferior margin. Straight sinus. Important information. Straight sinus is formed by inferior sagittal sinus. Great cerebral vein of Galen. Recap of venous drainage. Some important points. Great cerebral vein of Galen is formed by right internal cerebral vein, left internal cerebral vein, both the vein joining behind the brainstem. Great cerebral vein of Galen receives basal vein of Rosenthal from brain. Great cerebral vein of Galen is also joined by inferior sagittal sinus to form straight sinus. The straight sinus is present at base of falx cerebri. The straight sinus drains into confluence of sinuses at the internal occipital protuberance. Draining channels from the cavernous sinus. Superior petrosal sinus drains into transverse sinus. Inferior petrosal sinus, first tributary to the internal jugular vein. Deep facial vein drains into facial vein. Cavernous sinus thrombosis can occur through superior ophthalmic vein mainly, inferior ophthalmic vein, deep facial vein. Cavernous sinus thrombosis can occur through superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, deep facial vein. Pharyngeal arches. There are 6 pharyngeal arches. Fifth arch remains rudimentary in humans. These are U-shaped arches around the pharynx. Mesoderm of these arches is contributed secondary mesenchyme. Secondary mesenchyme is derived by neural crest cells. Lateral view of pharyngeal arches. Between the pharyngeal arches, pharyngeal clefts outside, pharyngeal pouches inside. Process arising from the first pharyngeal arch. Maxillary process, mandibular process. Stemodium, primitive mouth. It is enclosed between maxillary process of first arch, mandibular process of first arch, frontonasal processes. Olfactory or nasal placode. They develop to form nasal epithelium. Lens placode. They are present in the region of developing eyes. Frontonasal processes forms the medial nasal processes. They fuse in the middle and form the medial part of the nose and philtrum, medial portion of upper lip. Lateral nasal process forms the lateral part of the nose. Maxillary process from first arch fuse with medial nasal